Welcome to the Playful Domme, the Poly Wife, and the Virgin podcast, where we share our most intimate stories, experiences, and details of our love lives, our intimacy lives, our play lives, and giving you the opportunity to gaze in and get a glimpse of what could be possible in your life as well. As we share our stories, our adventures, we weave in tips, tricks, and techniques to help build your confidence, boost your courage, and give you the opportunity to ask for what you want in your life. Welcome to the podcast. Oh, and just a couple of quick thoughts before we get started. One, we are just everyday people. We are not professionals, licensed therapists, anything like that. This is for edutainment purposes only. This is not medical advice or legal advice, financial advice, nothing like that. Listen at your own discretion. And this is for mature audiences. We're going into deep subjects and sharing deeply about intimacy and all the things about that. So just notice who you're around and let's go.
Yeah, so I don't know about you ladies, but like for me, over the years, being on the receiving end of oral is just, it's such a challenge. It's like you're laying there and the guy's going down on you or woman, but for me it's a guy, and one time it was a woman, but men specifically, like, they're going down. It's like, oh, they've been down there a long time. Like, first of all, it's like, how do I look? How do I smell? Like, always, I'm like, do I smell good? How do I taste? Do I taste good? Like, so I'm all up in my mind about, do I smell good? Do I taste good? This is taking a long time. Oh my God, I have to fart. What do I do? Like, do I hold it in? Like, maybe I can let it out really quietly, but what if they can smell it? Maybe they won't smell it. Maybe they won't notice. Maybe they're just like so in the moment that they don't even care. Maybe they think that me farting is like a good sign because like I'm so turned on, and then they can tell and they just want to keep going. These are like some of the thoughts that go into my head. Is like, they're down there for so long, I'm like, I have to come, like I can't not come, but how can I come? I'm not even there yet. This could go on forever. Where are they going? What if they get tired in their neck, like the position and their shoulders, and like, who can do this anymore? And so it really it's really hard to stay in the experience, right? And to like be in the flow and in the feeling of it. And it's like there has to be there's so many men who've said like, oh, I love going down on women, it's like my favorite thing, I could do it for hours. I'm like, really? Could you really do it for hours? Like, seriously, like I really do not trust
you. Don't actually exist. That's not true. Oh my God.
You are a unicorn. So so that's kind of what's been going up about getting into a space and a place where we can let go and just be, and if we fart, it's okay, and you just keep going, and like, really being in the moment with somebody. So but I don't know, Lisa, what is it for you?
Well, I don't know at what point that happened in your relationship with Josh, but it was the first time it happened to me. It was, I think, the second time I was with a new partner, and I was just like, I was horrified. He's going down on me. I'm really enjoying, but I have to say that so one of the things that has happened since I started dating is I squirt. I didn't realize I could squirt. I finally met a man who could make me squirt. So it's something that I can do. And apparently men really love it when women squirt, which was also something it took me a little while to get used to. And so I realized that, kind of a little bit of performance art, if I can sort of squirt while they're going down on me, they really enjoy it. But what I found is that I fart when I squirt if I'm trying to squirt. And so here's this guy going down on me, and I swear he was down there for probably 30 minutes, and I was enjoying myself. I was really having a great time. And I will say also that, this is part of the learning curve for me. I didn't know what my body was capable of. And those multiple orgasms, I had only ever in my life had clitoral orgasms. And so having an orgasm during intercourse still actually doesn't really happen for me. I'm still seeking that experience. But what I realized is when I'm squirting, my body is actually having an orgasm, which is different than a clitoral orgasm, which I kept seeking. And so I can go on and on and on. And this guy was so amazing at getting me heightened and edging me and all of that. And so I realized I was squirting, and it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, excuse me. And then it happened again. It was just so horrible and humiliating. And all he's doing going, yum, yeah. Sloppy, wet sounds coming from him. And he's just like literally eating it up. He was just so into it, having so much fun. And I was mortified. I couldn't believe that I was in this situation. But he was absolutely wonderful. And probably then I was just like, okay, this guy has seen me in what I would consider my absolute worst. So I'm not going to worry about it anymore. So he was lovely. One of the things I realized is after, I don't know, a few weeks, he started putting a finger in my ass. And that helped the situation. I was like, okay, a butt plug, that's what we need. So it was fantastic. And as a matter of fact,
funny.
I ended up breaking up with him for completely different reasons. He and his girlfriend did not behave ethically. And so I had to break up with him, but he is the person who helped me realize that I'm a real girl. These are real things that happen, and I'm just not going to apologize for it anymore. It's like, if I'm having a good time and you're having a good time, body things happen. And I'm just going to enjoy the ride. And now, actually, I do talk about the fact, I was like, hey, look, you just got to know up front, I fart when I come. So if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. We don't have any surprises. So I'm totally fine being completely upfront. There's a good chance I may fart if I'm coming. So let's just, be careful, be aware of that. So, and I swear to you, men don't care.
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody who say, oh, that's a problem for me. Like, they're just so excited to get me to a place where I'm coming over and over and over again. If there's a little air passing at the same time, they're totally fine with it.
Love it.
How liberating to be transparent too, instead of like holding on to like, oh no, what happens if maybe they're gonna find out, like say up front, hey, I fart when I come, FYI, you want to come along and play, great. If you don't, cool. Right. But like that also alleviates so much of the pressure, which is a whole part of like the intimacy and the play and the communication. So Ella, I have another story, but I want to see if you have a story.
No, I just say it. You guys will hear me say this a lot. I love the transparency, because we've all been in this situation where it's like, oh my gosh, they're down there forever. And are they okay? Are they suffocating? You're like, everything smell okay? Oh goodness, man. So no, I just think it's great to talk about, because I didn't know if I was the only one.
What I will talk about is the fact that spontaneous sex, for me now, the farting is like the least of it. It's the tiny bits of toilet paper that get caught in the folds of my vulva that is actually worse for me now. So every time I go to the bathroom, I wipe myself, and then I take my hand and I like rub it all over and through and get into the folds and all around it and pull it out. And I open my labia up and I pull the little pieces of toilet paper out, because I want to make sure that I'm as clean as possible. And today's toilet paper sucks. It leaves a lot behind. And so this is my new mission, is to actually
so good.
Talk about it, bring it up so that people are willing to, be aware of it. Because once Orion, my long-term boyfriend, I just saw he started going down on me. He really enjoys oral sex on me. And I just saw him lift his head slightly, put his fingers to his mouth, and just like pull out his toilet paper and sort of, get it off of his fingers. I was just like, okay, yeah, that sucks. So, okay, well, maybe I can never have oral unless I've just gotten out of the shower. And again, it's just sort of like, I'm human. This is what happens.
Yeah, that's right. Human.
In my own bathroom when I'm home, I have a washcloth. So I wipe myself with a washcloth instead of toilet paper. And that helps.
Yeah. And baby wipes, you know, there's plenty of things to have by the toilet. And I have the same thing. So I'll if I know I'm about to have sex, I'll bend down, I'll go into the bathroom, I'll take a little self-examination, I'll sprinkle some water, you know, get it going a little bit. And then of course now I've got dripping wet water, cold water from my pussy as I'm going in to have sex, but whatever, like just go through it. But what I was going to say is I was with Josh and we were driving down for a vacation, and we stopped by at my grandfather's, and as we're pulling up, and we have a very, very high sex drive, great sex life. I was like, we are not having sex at my grandfather's, just so you know, that's not happening. And then that night, of course, like I'm turned on, he's there. We're in twin beds. Okay, so we're not in the same bed. We're in twin beds, which is good. And somehow, I know I totally initiated. I'm an initiator. By the way, men love when women initiate. Definitely game changer. It was such a game changer for Josh that I would initiate having sex as often as I have with him, that he's felt more liberated to lean in and do that. And he'll say, like, you'll hear it on one of the future episodes, that men in their minds feel like the women don't desire sex, one, hardly at all. And so even just to get a woman to say yes to having sex, like even their partner, is like it's a big deal for them to like to ask, to get the yes, or you know, like, you know, and like that should be enough, you know, kind of, or be good enough and be happy with that kind of thing. So for me to be someone that initiates, that wants it, that loves it, that, you know, all of it with him, it's been so beautiful for him. So I totally recommend, if you're waiting for the guy to make the first move, I totally encourage you to reach over and lightly touch his cock and say that you want to play, or, you know, whatever it is. And they'll rise, as you know, they rise to the attention pretty quick. So we're at my grandfather's house. It's night. I've decided to initiate. He's like, the beds are small and, you know, make a little bit of sound. So he's like standing behind me, over me, as I'm like leaning on the bed, and he's trying to make it as quiet as possible, you know, but of course that can't really happen. Side note, we forgot until then, like later on, that my grandfather wears hearing aids. He's not going to hear fucking anything. Like there's nothing. He won't hear anything. But in our minds, we're like, we gotta be really quiet. Oh my God, what if they hear us? And they're like 2 rooms away, and, you know, all this stuff. So we get to the floor. He's on the floor, and I'm riding on top of him, and it's feeling really, really good. And what I start noticing is that for some reason, in this particular position that I'm sitting in, and the way the thrusting is going, my anal sphincter is like relaxing and is letting out all these little tiny squeaky farts, and not just one every now and then, but like a succession of them. They're like happening in like rapid fire. And I'm sitting on top of him. It's dark. We're trying to be quiet. I'm hearing squeaky farts come out of me. I don't know what to do. I'm looking at him. He's completely like totally in the moment. Doesn't like, and I would pause a couple times. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm like farting so much. And he's like, no, you're not farting. That's just the sounds of, like, you know, our skin meeting and like juices and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. That's what you think. Awesome. But then there was like a couple of like really good thrusts, and like there was like this like definitely longer soft farts that were happening. So anyways, I had an orgasm, which is fantastic. He's super happy. He's on cloud 9. And I was just like, man, I am so embarrassed that like I was farting so much. I don't even know what happened. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't farting at all. So this was like over a week ago. Yesterday, it happened again. I was on top of him, started doing it. The little squeaky fart started happening again. And And he's like, no, I'm like, no, it really is. I am really farting on you. And he's like, well, that is definitely a milestone in our relationship, you know, like farting on his balls as I'm writing him. But it just feels good. You just gotta keep going with it, you know. So yeah.
Love it.
That's really funny, because with my current local, so Orion, my long-term boyfriend, he and I have been dating, it'll be 3 years in March. He doesn't live here, he lives in Indiana. And we have so a long distance relationship. But my local guy, I call him Sapio, because we are attracted to each other's minds more than sexually active. I don't know what happened. I must have farted or something and somewhere, but it was not during sex. It was, we've had a lot of farting conversations.
Yeah, it just happened.
I mean, let's just say, he says, well, at least I know that you're, comfortable enough to fart in front of me. And I said, oh, no. I'm not comfortable enough to fart, because it was like maybe the second or third, maybe probably fourth date, because we didn't have sex the first few times. And he says, oh, well, you're comfortable enough to fart in front of me. That's nice. And I said, no, I'm completely and utterly humiliated, but I'm just embracing the fact that I'm a 57-year-old woman and, I fart. So it's more about me accepting what my body is and who I am than being comfortable in front of you. I'm comfortable with myself. And I think for me, that was a really defining moment. It's like, I am not going to apologize for who I am or what my body does, because I am a woman of a certain age. Things are going to happen. And I'm a woman and certain things are going to happen. It doesn't matter what my age is. But, and then he farted. He was like, well, I'm comfortable enough to fart in front of you. I was like, okay, great. I feel much more comfortable now that we're even. And so now it's about the I don't know, old married couples, if they fart on each other is a joke, but we're at that point now where, we're neither one of us cares what's happening. And it makes it fun and acceptable and not humiliating. It doesn't mean that I don't blush and feel like, why is this happening? But I'm with a man who's proven to me over and over again, or men who have proven over and over again that they really care about me, not my body, in a way that I have self-shamed for so many decades, actually. So, and Jess, when you were talking earlier, it was about recognizing our own sexuality and getting in touch with who we are and what it is that we want and being okay with it. And I remember sitting down and having a conversation. We were actually, I may have been working with you at the time, Jess, and we were talking to a man that we were working with, and he was saying, I absolutely love going down on women, and I don't even care if I come myself, as long as she is happy and satisfied. I want her to have 30 orgasms before I even think about coming. And I was like, you're a liar. That is crap. That's how you pick up women. That's not how
that's a pickup line.
Like, no, it's actually true. And then I started talking to different men, and I realized that there are men out there who really get so turned on and enjoy so much creating pleasure for women that and it's not that my husband didn't, it's that I didn't see what my husband was trying to do because I was so busy. And I think this is the thing that has been my greatest lesson in dating, is that my husband is an incredibly generous lover. But I had been raped twice when I was in my 20s. And I was so busy ensuring that he was enjoying himself that I didn't care at all about my pleasure. Like, my pleasure always came second. I wanted to make sure that he came, and then I could always take care of myself afterwards. I could wait till he fell asleep and rub one out. And, oh my gosh, it was living such a disingenuous life. And when I finally realized that these men were like, oh yeah, I love providing pleasure for women, I was like, holy crap, what have I been missing out on? Because I've been so focused on the goal for him. And now I'm enjoying my own pleasure. And I've learned to have sex for my own pleasure, which was not something as a woman in her late 50s I was ever taught to do growing
So
up.
I think, so Lisa, I think that's a great point. And I think we'll talk about that on our, maybe on our next podcast, because that's so powerful. And I think Jess, that was a big eye opener for me as far as being a dominatrix on what does that mean? Because in my mind, it was dark, but it's really not. It's actually about power, giving ourselves power. And so maybe we wrap up and talk about that, because I think that's very, very powerful, because that was an eye-opening experience for me, Jess, that conversation we had.
Yeah, I think that's a great marker too for our next episode. And I do also want to say, as much as we laughed about being in our heads, while a man's going down on us or whatever it is, the more that we can, like Lisa shared, is let go and just embrace the moment.
Yeah.
And, I've learned that so many times, especially with this boyfriend that I have, and he's the first time I've had a consistent lover in 3 years. And so whatever insecurities I've built up in my head about what he sees and what he thinks and, whatever it is, and switching it into hearing his affirmations, how turned on he is, and letting go of like, oh, I feel like the back of my legs look like old lady legs right now. And he's, mounting me from behind. He's going to see that. He's like, you have the most amazing ass. I'm so turned on, whatever it is. So the more that we can embrace who we are, let go, accept our bodies as they are, like we are sharing in this, the deeper the connection and arousal from the other person. We find that when we can accept ourselves in our bodies in the moment, it heightens the level of connection and the arousal of the other person that you're with. So
that is a great point, Jess. Great point.
Yeah. So taking that on and trying that on this week, that if like, instead of you being like, instead of us, maybe some of you are accustomed to going in the mirror and pointing out all the flaws that you see, if you're just like, what, I love my body, and it's a beautiful body. And, you just start with that, it's a beautiful body, and just start embracing yourself exactly where you're at, not waiting until you've lost the 15 pounds to put on that dress. Put on the dress because you feel sexy in it and you feel good, and own it, and it will start shining. You will see it reflected back to you. I've done it myself so many times. That's how I know it's possible, is that if we can move through these thoughts in our head that are not true, and these illusions and our levels of comparison of ourselves to everybody else, and just be in the moment with who we're with, and let them enjoy us, enjoy our bodies as we can enjoy them, then it changes the whole experience.
I agree.
Love it. So well said.
Such a great episode. Well, I hope you all will join us for our next episode.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for the Playful podcast. Yes, thanks. I'm Jess, the poly wife.
I'm Lisa. You're the poly.
I am not. Poly wife.
Would you like to be?
Wow.
Oh, I don't know why.
I'm Lisa, the poly wife.
And I'm Ella the Virgin.
Yes, and I'm Jess, the Playful Domme. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We look forward to catching you on our next episode, where we dive in deeper to all the things that Lisa shared about. Take care for now.
Want more? Head over to theplayfulpodcast.com for all the juicy things we have to offer. From there, you can join our community, where you can get access to after hours, attend upcoming workshops and events, and even book a session. Bye for now.